I like Papilla. This isn't a joke, this isn't bait. I think Papilla's a good boss design. Hello, and welcome to my guide on Void Wards, or as most people probably call them, Natlan shields. Thankfully, Papilla has decided to take a vacation and has stopped showing up in literally every abyss, but unfortunately, he decided to take this vacation in Imaginarium. We will never be free of the plant. And even when it's not Papilla, it's these guys. And I have seen a lot of misinformation about these guys, even down to the fact that people call them Natlan shields. Because frankly, a lot of Natlan characters are just horrible at breaking them. So let's talk about the mechanics of them. When the Void Ward spawns, the enemy that has it will gain full immunity to damage. This makes it so that things that require enemies to take damage, like Raiden's skill, Dea's skill, Beto's burst, those can't trigger. And because Fav weapons require you to hit with a crit, they won't trigger, but you can still get energy from hitting elemental skills. For the elite enemies, breaking this ward is mandatory because you just can't deal damage to them if you don't break it. For Papilla, it's not strictly mandatory, but the fight will be a lot harder if you don't. It will do this big AoE explosion that also applies a status effect that will damage your character afterwards, but it is possible to dodge or tank that attack. But if it manages to get this explosion off, all of its resistances will be increased by 70%, making the fight take a lot more time. If you're not wailed out the ass, you're not killing a resistance boosted Papilla in the allotted time. This shield takes damage from every elemental hit, and let me say that again, every elemental hit, not application. You'll see here, every hit of Lisa's burst does damage to the shield, when normally only every third hit will apply Electro. Showing it off against an enemy who takes regular damage, only every third hit is aggravated. There are also some weird skills that deal elemental damage but don't apply the element, such as Shan Yun's skill damage. If she runs into enemies while using her skill, she'll deal damage but she won't apply element. See, the animal number comes up, but she never triggered a swirl. Yet on Papilla, it does damage to the Void Shield. This places emphasis on using characters who don't apply a lot of their element, but who have very fast hits with their element. Often those do tend to be the same thing, but there are characters with special ICDs that hit very quickly, but apply their element fairly slow. The reason why people call them Natlan shields is because Natlan units get 3 times the value when hitting with elemental attacks. This still helps Natlan units out, but the health of the shield is large enough that it doesn't completely trivialize the fast application requirement. The biggest example is Mualani. Mualani players, you know why it is ridiculous for people to call Void Wards Natlan shields. Her whole kit is designed around hitting slowly, so she gets next to no value out of that boost. These two factors are what make Auroron so good at breaking these shields. Regardless of how many times it hits, his burst can only apply Electro every 3 seconds. But because Papilla counts hits and not application, and also because Natlan units have higher effectiveness,
Go! You're free now!
he can nearly take care of the shield by himself. I'll go over characters who are good at breaking the shield in a second because I actually have one more rule to mention. That being, transformative reactions count as elemental hits and therefore help break its shield. Vape, Melt, Aggravate, and Spread don't create their own instance of damage, they only modify the original instance of damage that's dealt. In order of usefulness, the single instance damage reactions are up first, those being Swirl, Bloom and its delineations, Superconduct, and Overload. Electrocharge, which creates 3 instances of damage when triggered, and Burning, which is a very fast DOT reaction. See here? Burning teams absolutely shred the Papilla shield. Those are all the main rules for Void Wards, so let's just go through the whole cast and see who's good at breaking these shields. Most Animo units are pretty effective, and Animo MC is no exception. Their hold skill hits pretty rapidly and can trigger a lot of swirls. Hydro MC's hold skill is also surprisingly effective. But of course the standout winner is Pyro MC, especially with their brand new True C6. Their tap skill not only deals Night Soul Align damage every second, but with their C6 all of their normal attacks become Night Soul aligned. Honestly, this might be the easiest character to break Papilla's shield with. Onto the rest of the cast. We've already seen Lisa, but the other 2 starter characters also have a fairly high hit rate for their burst. All 3 starter characters offer around the same amount of shield break with their bursts, and they all turn out to be fairly viable options. Of course, there's always Xiangling. The Papilla is large enough that if you stand in the right spot, her burst can hit it twice per rotation, and her high amount of application can translate into more reactions that can help break its shield. She's not the best at breaking Void Wards, but I'd say she's solidly above average, and more importantly, she is a good teammate for after the shield breaks and you need to kill it. Xingqiu's orbitals don't help break the shield as they don't deal damage, but his burst does what his burst does and has a ton of hydro hits, particularly at C6. Another unit that is decent but becomes great at C6 is Fischl. On their own, Oz's normal attacks are fairly quick, and if you do electro reactions, he'll get these additional bolts of lightning. You can't really see them. But at C6, when doing normal attacks, he'll get even more application. Sucrose is good for the same reason that other anima units are. Not only does her burst trigger a lot of reactions, but when you get an element absorbed, it actually deals 2 separate instances of damage. Venti and Kazuha effectively work the same way. Kazuha has even more hits using his skill, as he has 1 going up and 2 going down if he gets an infusion, and they both have the benefit of having longer lasting bursts than Sucrose. Keqing has a lot of rapid elemental hits, with of course the most coming from her burst. Hu Tao can be surprisingly good, as her charged attacks apply this Blood Blossom, which is an additional source of elemental damage. Ayaka's burst hits pretty fast, but I don't think Ayaka's burst is something you want to be wasting right before the enemy is going to be downed for a while. Yelan is also effective, but she's basically just a worse version of Xingqiu in this context. A lot of Inazuma is not all that great. It's only once we get to Dendro that things get better. Oh god. I'm gonna level up Collei for this video, aren't I?
Even if it's a life or death situation, I'll never need to rely on their power again.
Why in God's name does she ascend with attack percent? Both Collei and Kuki have fast hitting bursts that can be extended through some means. Collei through reactions and Kuki through being at low health. And together, oh my god, they can actually do a lot of damage. And of course our ritual sacrifice Tighnari has his 3 charge attacks that do a pretty significant amount. 2 more unexpected characters with fast hitting bursts. Dori, the connector, hits fairly quickly, and of course Yao Yao's burst. Together, they actually can break the shield. The Papilla in Abyss actually has a stronger ward than the one in Overworld, so you're not going to be able to hit the exact breakpoints like just Yao Yao and Dori alone probably won't be able to break Abyss Ward's shield, but they're still good at ward breaking in general. Now for 2 characters I don't have, Alhaitham, he just has a lot of hits. There's not much to explain there. He really isn't beating the Dendro Keqing allegations. And surprisingly enough, Nilou. I mean, you know, say what you will about Nilou in single target situations, she's not all that great. While she doesn't generate a lot of elemental hits herself, I mean, she actually sort of can with her enhanced normal attack stuff, but normally she doesn't. It's her teams that generate a lot of blooms that do a lot of elemental hits. So if you can stomach single target Nilou, she's fine at breaking Papilla shields. Next up is Lynette, and I'm actually gonna include both Freminet and Razor here, both with an asterisk. Lynette, of course, just has her burst that does a lot of hits and a lot of reactions, and C6 grants her an infusion for as much as that's worth. They both have this mechanic where they don't lose their physical normal attacks, but they get additional elemental damage alongside them. So when paired with an infusion, you get 2 elemental hits with each normal attack. Out of the 2, I think Razor is easily the better one, but I decided I would mention Freminet anyway. His element being Electro makes it a lot easier to get additional transformative reactions. He also gets a normal attack speed increase with his burst, and at C6, he gets an additional instance of electro damage. It's only once every 10 seconds, so it's not a lot, but it's not nothing. Chevy is surprisingly good with a little bit of nuance. First off, her teams tend to get a lot of overloads, so that can help with shield breaking, but she herself is decent and can get a lot better with constellations. Not only does her burst have a fair amount of hits to it, but C2 gets her a few extra explosions upon using her hold skill, and C6 lets her use her hold skill 3 times in a row. Nothing crazy, but it adds up. Florand is another great option, especially when using her in overload or taser teams. And of course, as I showed off, Emily's great. Not only does her skill hit fairly rapidly, but the burning reaction goes absolutely ham on Papilla's shield. Now moving on to the Natlan units. Kachina is fine. Nothing in her kit makes her better, just the fact that she has an off-field skill with a fairly decent hit rate and is a Natlan character makes her worth using. In general, Citlali is strictly better. She has a lot of front-loaded application, and her off-field skill hits a lot faster than Kachina's does. I already mentioned Moalani, and next we have Kinich. He's the other unit that's pretty much capable of taking down Papilla's shield all by himself. He's Emily with a slightly higher hit rate and the 3 times Natlan modifier. I already mentioned why Auron is so good, and I only used his skill in burst. When you combine his off-field damage with the reactions that his teams trigger, you can pretty easily shred through these shields. Chaska is similarly amazing. She rapidly hits with 6 bullets that are all Night Soul aligned. She can chunk through these shields like nobody's business. Mawika is fine. She's designed to have a slower hit rate, but it isn't incredibly slow. So when you consider the fact that she has the Natlan modifier and probably has Citlali in her teams, she can do pretty well. Veresa, very similar to Mawika, not a fast hit rate, but the nature of her being Natlan makes her a little better. And the last character that I consider having notable ward breaking ability is Lan Yan, with the caveat that she has to be C1. This doubles her skill's hits from 6 to 12 if she infuses her skill with an element. She's not going to break the shield on her own, but the fact that she can do this much pressure this fast makes her worth the consideration. Some other characters that I think can do it but have a little less synergy. Sethos can get a lot of hits out. Navia can hit a surprising amount between her burst going on off field and her 3rd normal attack having 3 hits. Charlotte has some okay front-loaded application. Fremine I would have considered in this category if I didn't put him in earlier. He's fine at breaking the shield, although he definitely needs some significant help and some weird teams. Both Nuvolette and Farina have okay hit rates, but their rotation goes a little long. Nahida can be decent, especially when you combine her with an Electro unit that will make her skill hit faster. Chiori can be decent. I consider her and Ningguang to be in the same category, where their abilities don't have a particularly fast hit rate, but they do hit twice. I don't want to make this go on for too long, so I think my last honorable mention is going to be Jean, specifically in Sunfire. You can get some decent shield breakage going on. Everyone that I skipped over, I think, is just not really worth considering in the pure context of shield breaking. So yeah, those are Void Wards, aka Natlan shields. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, you can leave a like or subscribe to show that you did. If you have any questions about other units, you can comment, I'll try to answer, and I hope y'all have a lovely day.